I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. I love cookies. Welcome to Cookies, the world's most influential basketball podcast. It is Monday, August 17th. Andrew Kuo, what have you purchased from the Supreme Drop?
You can't see me right now, but I am in a red room full of red things, wearing all red. And it's a pretty amazing drop because I couldn't deal with my vacuum cleaner before I got the Supreme vacuum cleaner. My Super 8 was lagging, so I got that Supreme Super 8. Now I'm a filmmaker again.
I feel like our pod could benefit from some of the little handheld lav mics if they were Supreme.
Mm-hmm. If they were Supreme. And it's amazing. I want to hate on it, but every time they come out with like Supreme chapstick or Supreme mouth guards, I'm like, yo, this is kind of great.
I saw the Supreme basketball rack and immediately was trying to imagine where in my home would be the proper place for a Supreme basketball rack that would be full of real basketballs.
Atiba has one of those pinball machines in his house in LA, which is crazy. Max Fish used to have, it might be the same one, but I remember the Fish got one of those pinball machines. And while it wasn't as addictive as, say, the Guns N' Roses pinball machine or Monster Bash, it certainly had people interested.
Yeah, drop looks pretty good. Shout out to Devil's Pond, one of the collaborators on some of the plaid designs. Guys who played ball with us are well part of the Supreme fold and a lot of our friends. So that was not an ad for Supreme. We're just admiring the goods.
Supreme has 9 lives, and they're only up to maybe 6 or 7. There's many points at which Supreme could have fallen out of fashion in a way a lot of these bigger brands did. But they're survivors, man. They are the Dennis Schroeders of streetwear. And it is crazy how, I mean, in a way, they are Google or Nike. They have, regardless of the market, they have smart people supporting them and working with them. And that is extremely valuable. And I was thinking, after all these items, like what Supreme item do you want to see next? Do you want to see like a Yves Klein version of Supreme Red, where they have a proprietary red, the reddest red possible, something like that? And then I was thinking, they should have George Kondo and maybe Jeff Koons, guys who are past criticism. They're post-critical artists because they just exist outside of criticality. Just have Kondo make 12 paintings, put the Supreme logo in there somewhere. He just did sports cards for Fanatics a couple weeks ago. So have him do and sell them on the Supreme website for $1.5 million. That would be insane.
I think we should just have that Kuo with Jeremy Lin, except that he's staring at a television with a box logo.
I would in a hot second, but I am not Jeff Koons or George Kondo at this point. But also with all this talk of luxury markets buckling under the pressures of changing tastes and technology, I was thinking even Supreme could say, fuck it, if you galleries are having problems, we'll hire a really prominent curator and have 30 Supreme artists. You can just buy them off our website. And I don't know. It might sustain these art careers for a few years.
I mean, there is a Rita Ackerman collaboration this go around out of the upcoming collection this fall.
They always hit a lot of artists, and to their credit, they're as big as Rita, But then there's some friends of ours that just get t-shirts and collabs and like four designs. It's amazing. Obviously, Larry Clark is always a mainstay, Nate Loman, Josh Smith, the usual suspects. But we said this years ago. Supreme, in a way, is kind of the caretaker of New York culture. But at this point, they've been doing this for so long. They're like the caretakers of vacuum technology.
Well, speaking of that, a buddy of mine, you may have known in passing, but he was very well known amongst exactly this world, whether it's streetwear, music, art. Emeka Obi, who passed away last week, and he was very public about his battle with cancer. He posted about it on Instagram, and it was not a shock when he passed away, but obviously still extremely sad. And going through the comments, this is a guy that I've known for, you know, definitely over 20 years, and going through the comments and seeing people from Nike basketball, seeing people from, 10 Deep, seeing people from that streetwear world, seeing people from Supreme, and just thinking about that, like, idea of the longevity that is dedicated to taste. He worked with like ASAP Mob. Then later he worked, I think, with like, it might have been General Mills for all I know, but ASAP Mob, streetwear, all this stuff. That is a role. And I think of that the way you're describing Supreme in some ways. Like, your role is to be like the gateway of taste indefinitely.
And while many people can speak on that and claim that, man, there's only a few people who are really good at it. Your friend being one. And I think places like Supreme and Google and Nike know these things. Whether they can retain artists is a different story. But man, the talent of Supreme is relevant because it is in terms in which people talk about how perhaps we can foil AI. Taste is a broad idea, but to know something is going to work or not in what capacity is a really rare skill, man.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, so many conversations are just dictated by AI in terms of like, what can it replace and what can't it? And the irony that does not need to be explained by me is that it's just replacing human taste with human taste through a plagiarism filter. There's a guy, sort of a TikToker, vlogger, Jay Smooth, and he used one of those AI software song making, apps, and said he wanted R&B from the 80s, from, like, middle America, and it just regurgitated a song that sounded exactly like Prince. That's not AI replacing Prince, it's AI replicating Prince. I don't know, the whole conversation about AI also just feels so fraudulent, where it's like, no, we just have to change the laws where you can't steal people's stuff the same way we couldn't just use a Prince song and put it out and say, this is the Cookies Hoops theme.
Yeah, it's tricky. I love the pictures generation. I love references and sampling. And I think sometimes the change to something isn't visceral. So when Tribe Called Quest samples Lou Reed, in my opinion, they've changed it enough. In the court's opinion, they did not. And Tribe Called Quest famously did not make a cent off that song. It's hard to listen to an album like Paul's Boutique without omissions now. And I agree to your point. I think AI is not the boogeyman it is purported to be. But I also really lean on very smart people thinking about this a ton. And they have good ideas. We've been waiting our whole lives for an alien to drop down or a shadow to become self aware. So now that it's here, arguably aware. It is important for smart people to put words to it. And it's not just copywriting, it's something bigger than that. Um,
But
the
you
interesting
don't think it's actually aware, at least like the language learning models that we're using. I'm not saying there isn't something that's closer to sentience, I don't know, in the laboratories of Claude. But I mean, LLMs, they aren't sentient. It's like saying a typewriter is sentient.
I don't think many people are sentient. I don't think many people are self-aware. It's copying us, right? It's regurgitating what we put into it.
Yes. It's
And
good. It's Google.
it cannot think abstractly yet. It has not proved it could. It cannot. I always, I always pray that my superpower is that I hate everything. It's like it can't hate everything. Only I can hate everything. Show me something and I'll hate it. It's like, oh, this thing, I fucking hate it. That's my superpower. But it that maybe computers would be confused by because it's just like it doesn't make sense in terms of probability. It reflects the way we send signals to it, but our signals are kind of learned from other people. That's what I mean by I'm not sure I'm self aware. I say I'm self aware. I'm not quite sure. I cannot prove it with an equation, but other people can perhaps. I think the most explosively creative moments in civilization are and aren't predictable.
You're simply a 6'6" man staring into the Mapo mirror. What do you mean? That's as sentient as it gets.
Imagine they took every single article you've written online, copied it, put it in a place for later, and deleted all of it. How would you feel about that?
Well, I mean, it could happen to the joy of basketball, unless you get your copy now. So we found
But
out, we mentioned this on the show, we found out that the joy of basketball was fed into the yawning maw of the AI monster. They did train LLMs. I don't know which company it was, but it was part of a huge listing that they were forced to reveal, and the joy of basketball was on there. So at least they've got some good takes about Ben Simmons in these, in these models.
um, man, and there was a news story that came out. And we knew this was happening for a while, but some of these companies like Google and Facebook have been purchasing rare books, for example, scanning them and destroying them. And somebody had put a tag, I believe, some sort of tracking device in one and followed it to a factory where they found out, a reporter found out they were scanning it and destroying this very valuable one of one book.
Yes, I saw that. I was waiting for a take. I was like, okay, yeah. I saw that. I love it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. It's cool that these companies that have unlimited resources are unable to copy the material from the book without destroying it. Like, the only way we can glean and scan this text that's so rare is to also wipe it off the face of the earth. We just have to cut it into pieces and feed them into a machine. Great. Love it.
I mean, I certainly believe in techno feudalism. I believe under the guise of convenience, there's something bigger happening where if you don't own something anymore, the language of value, collectability, all these things are vaporized and they exist online in to the terms of whoever has most of them, which is always going to be like these five dudes. And if we don't have physical books, and I'm so annoyed, I've purged so much of my shit, like books, records, cassettes. sneakers. Just like I don't want it anymore. I've moved a couple times. I don't want to deal with it. And that said, if you were one of these feudal techno lords and the population was slowly not buying as many physical things and maybe destroying existing physical things, you're like, great, this plays right into my hands. It is convenient for you because you have less stuff to move, but this also is gameable by me, and that's just more money for me because I'm offering you subscriptions that I get to dictate the price of without you really putting up a fight.
Right. And I think about the analog you had with Lou Reed, in A Tribe Called Quest, and the sampling era, where the rebellious creative types, the ones who sampled people's things, and then the powers that be came and stomped them the hell out. Like, nope, we're taking all your publishing, we're taking all your royalties. You're going to have to learn to play keyboards and, finger fuck a Casio like Swizz Beats. And that's what you're going to do going on until you're just going to have to pay for these things. You want the samples, you gotta legally go through it and credit the original musicians. Cool, we'll sort it out. We ended up in the right place, I guess. In this situation, it's the opposite, though, right? Which it usually is. It's like, we're going to sample all of your stuff. We're going to put it in this big stewing cauldron, and then we own it now. It's not the little guys who are taking the joy of basketball and using it for their nefarious devices. It's this unstoppable beast.
And in theory, and this is the problem with secondary and tertiary markets, where something gets sold, resold, and resold again. The person who maybe originated the object doesn't see any of those profits. And there's been a really tough go in trying to figure this all out. As we're seeing basketball players signing their names on pieces of cardboard that have $3.5 million bounties on them. That's not nothing. Cooper5 could use $3.5 million. That thing doesn't exist without him. I don't know what kind of players union contract needs to be adjusted, but it is fascinating that Tyga came out with an album this week and it got 0. Pitchfork went hard on it, and for rightful reason. It was mostly AI written, and Tyga claims that he sung the vocals with some auto tune, but it was him. So it is a legitimate piece of art made by him, the artist. I'm kind of on his side on this. It doesn't mean it's good, and we can think that it's gross and give it a 0. That's fair too. But a lot of these pop stars have 4 writers writing on a hook, and then a lot of recording smoothed over, a lot of highs and lows compressed. The guitars are plugged in to the outlets. I mean, I only listen to acoustic guitars. The sounds of vibrations. So it gets complicated, and I think it's good that we are finding out with numbers. Now, numbers are coming back, and companies are realizing that the AI driven content, whether it be visual or optimized for the consumer that private equity does, is not hitting. It's not making the money they thought it was. So that's good if we still believe in the purity and sanctity of human thought.
Yeah, I think it's clear that right now AI is not going to be able to create that much artistic output that is not weirdly uncanny valley-ish or derivative. But those things will probably change. They're adapting really quickly. They're much more high-powered than they were. And, you look back like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when the first image generation, websites, basically, they weren't even apps. They were just a portal, whatever. And they were hilarious. I loved those because they were hyper and uncanny valley. They were sloppy and weird. and the video stuff, Will Smith eating spaghetti, it was choppy and it was terrible. And I liked it actually as like an art form. It looked funny, but we're seeing such dramatic improvement. So you can't write off that AI will be able to make good art at some point. It'll
Oh,
probably
it's
be,
already doing it. Yeah, for sure. There's artists.
I'm saying in the hands of a good quote unquote creator, someone could make a great movie using AI. Like it's of course theoretically possible. It just would take the right person to do it.
Some of the clips online are hilarious. More than once, you'll see. I usually hate AI, but this is hilarious, and it's a funny AI thing. Recently, I think Super Mario, around catastrophic world events, going like "Mamma Mia" to like the World Trade Center in flames. That whole genre sometimes hits, but it's also aware of the the process in which that artwork was made, and I don't know because a lot of these movies, Fincher movies, don't look like that just through the camera. He uses a lot of post, a lot of tools. Um, and when I say I don't know, I'm especially thinking of how people who write with a certain punctuation or thought process who don't use AI are getting flagged for AI just for small patterns because AI has learned from writers like them. So it keeps on bouncing back and forth to a point where really smart people have to either write laws or create a social code in which to behave.
Yeah, I agree. And even the way that the TikTok algorithm changed how people speak and the way that you edit a TikTok, it changed the cadence of discussing a restaurant. It's made specifically for punching in edits instead of doing a voiceover throughout the whole thing. So it,
Side note, a question for you regarding that. I'm very curious about this as a restaurant aficionado. Has TikTok and Instagram changed food menus?
okay, I do have some opinions on this. That's a good question. I think it has absolutely changed the way that restaurants look at what's on their menu and the way that things are plated or presented. I bet it changes the lighting in a restaurant, but for sure, you want to have your viral dish that, and you may not know when it's going to be. Our guys at Chez Matant, when they made their first menu, I don't think they thought the pancakes were going to be their viral moment, but it was, and that is still the tags on their Instagram. It's pancakes. But I know for a fact because I was doing event space coverage for the Times, and I would do walkthroughs, and some of the owners were very candid, like, okay, we're going to put these paper flowers on the wall here. That's kind of like an Instagram spot. Over here, we're going to put this swing that kind of goes out and you can see the Empire State Building behind it. That's an Instagram spot. So if they're doing it for interior design, I believe they're doing it for menu presentation, plating, things like that.
Without a doubt, like they're, on the most observable level, there are Asian restaurants that I know made purple noodles just hoping it would go viral and bring people in. But do you think like brown foods will be endangered soon? Things that don't photograph well. Um, there was a New York Magazine cover story about how people are starting to eat politically, and it is a Middle Eastern renaissance in New York City. Maybe because it might not be about the food; it might be about something else, projecting a different idea. But it is bringing Middle Eastern food to a brighter light than it has been before. Amazing shit, as you know. But now it is seen with a validation online that is different than just about food. And I was thinking, if this progresses for a few generations, we are going to lose recipes not because of taste, literal taste, but we might lose it because of figurative taste.
I would guess that's always happened, right? Just in different ways.
For
I
sure.
bet there were dishes that were hugely popular, and then like
Famously fondue, right?
right, or I mean, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of it, but there's a Middle Eastern soup that uses it's called jutes mallow. It's like a it's like okra, like a slimy vegetable. They make Egyptian
Right.
soup, but they use it throughout the region. It's called molokhaya. That's my attempt at the pronunciation. But the population of people who are known as Druze don't eat it because of like some ancient squabble where a leader demanded that no one could use it because it like nursed him back to health or something, and they didn't believe in that leader. So like this has definitely happened throughout history, and I don't know if there's any in our lifetime, but it is odd going
And
back through like old
ramen.
menus from.
I mean, I bring this up in a roundabout fucking way to talk about the AI thing. It's not as interesting as recipes, but language has changed forever. Shaming the way people have written and talked has been going on for thousands of years. We don't talk in Old English anymore. There's a reason why it's old. But the way something changes matters. And I think if something changes due to searching for clout, that is notable because that's not how these recipes usually disappear. It's from conflict, it's from war, to be honest, it's from famine, it's from climate change, all these things. But in 30 years, can we look back and say, like, TikTok, like, did this?
Maybe also you look at photos of food from the 70s. It's cottage cheese inside a pineapple that's split in two with a hot dog nose and two hard boiled eyes. It was really creative in a way that was almost for photography, but it was for dinner parties or whatever.
Jello dropped, right? Jello made an appearance, and this is art related too because the Cooper Union School was funded by this discovery of this byproduct from glue. That was Jello. And when Jello hit the scene, it was like, whoa, this thing can do so much shit. And it's kind of beautiful.
The future is fucking here. I would go to my
And it,
grandmother's house and she would have that Jello mold, and
damn, I saw a
there'd
restaurant
be
yeah.
little grapes and apple slices floating around in this upside down purple mold that was like ribbed for the family's pleasure.
It's a whole subculture currently. People go off with these Jello sculpture cakes. I saw something online a few weeks ago that was a clear Jello that a restaurant was injecting with flavored like jams, and it looked like a fireworks display inside your plate on your fork or spoon, whatever. It's crazy. Um, a segment for another time would be was the death knell of Jello the fact that we found out that it was an animal derived product.
Wait, this is hooves? All right, I'm out.
Kinda, right? When you find out that gummy bears are made out of Jello and Jello is made out of collagen or the joint tissue muscles from creatures like cows, mm, I don't know.
Look,
I think yeah.
we all evolved to be a bearded vulture at the end of the day.
Oh no, only
We just
birds,
eat.
crabs. We evolved to be crabs. Birds, who are dinosaurs, are vultures, who are actually endangered now. I heard. I
That
don't
one
know.
video that went viral, not to do like the whole virality rundown,
Oh, the
but of
mogging vulture.
oh, good lord, that he was fucking flexing.
Sick. It was sick. It was
He
like
was
Brunson
great.
going back into the locker room after game one.
I saw the comments and people said, "No, you don't understand. These specific kind of vultures are super silly. They are great. Vultures are smart. They get a bad rap because they eat corpses of animals, and they're a
They're
symbol of
bald.
doom
Yeah.
as you're crawling through the Sahara because a AI data farm has sucked all the air out. And you look up and you see those vultures spiraling. Know that in fact they're smart and cool.
I mean, it was vultures got a bad rap, right? Because they were hanging around dead. They hang around dead things, and they're not pretty. I'm trying to segue into Nancy Mace's sleeve tattoos.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. People called them lamb slaughtering birds, but they didn't really do that too much. Once in a while, they would pick them up and drop them. But I don't know that segue. Is she a vulture? Is that where you're
Or
going?
things, maybe where are the vultures? But things have evolved to a
She is a
place
political vulture.
and a culture vulture, maybe. Um, but she has new tattoos, and besides the debate about her politics, hate her tattoos, love the politics. It was a question of are tattoos played? Are they just done? And we seem to do this every year.
So, right, Nancy Mace, conservative, seems pretty unhinged.
Huge
She
MAGA
is
supporter.
she's
MAGA person.
47 or 48 years old, South Carolina representative in the House, and she got 9 tattoos, and I believe all over the last year or so. She revealed them simultaneously on air to everyone's shock, and then her quote about getting inked up was that it allowed her to feel pain.
Because she famously describes a lot of trauma in her life. It is part of her story. And I think a lot of pain management is discussed when she has to perhaps explain why she feels a certain way about a policy. And I know people who have gotten tattoos for more reasons and fewer reasons. So that's cool. That is not extraordinary. That feels like something I can believe. Respect, I guess.
I mean, I don't have any strong feelings about tattoos at any age. I think there used to be a time when people may have judged someone for getting 9 tattoos within a year and a half when they're
Like
almost
when
50
JJ
years
Redick
old.
showed up in that sleeve when he was a Clipper. It's like, yo, JJ had a busy summer on that tattoo table.
I mean, I feel like the last edgy tattoos were like Mike Tyson and Marbury getting tribal face tattoos. Since then, you can't shock anybody with a tattoo anymore, really.
Pete Davidson, Machine Gun Kelly, right? Like those two Eminem guys. Pete Davidson, hilarious tattoos, then got them all removed. Machine Gun Kelly, kind of awkward tattoos, then got him all blacked out. I think his entire upper body is black. And it's interesting that Mace talks about pain because I think a lot of people who have tattoos on their chests would say the arms are nothing. I have arm tattoos; they're easy. I don't want to get a chest piece because apparently that shit is worse than you can possibly imagine.
I have no tattoos. I feel like I've heard fingers are painful,
Hmm.
but
I want to get a hand tattoo, but yeah, I heard bad things. Okay, wait, I have a question for
I
you. I
think you
saw
should get a little green hand on
on
top of your own. Yeah.
So I saw footage of a celebrity. I forget which player even got knocked out with sedatives and got a back piece, but like 5 tattoo artists were working on it furiously before the sedative wore off. Does that
I,
count? Does that count?
I believe this was LaMelo Ball.
Was it Lamelo?
I
Then
think it
I
was.
mean, of course it counts. But if it
I,
wasn't, would it count?
I think it was LaMelo last year. I could be wrong, but I think it was him when he got the big Joker-fied back piece.
I mean, that would make sense. It was filmed and kind of went viral on my feed, and it was a lot of artisans furiously trying to beat that clock like a shot clock. Does it count? Do you have to feel the pain for the tattoo to count?
As someone who has no tattoos, I still say yes.
I don't know. I
It
yeah, I
it
don't
it,
want to say
it
yes,
being
but
a surgical procedure is pretty funny. Like, yeah, put me under, doc. You wake up like, Jokerfied. Sick.
it's extremely painful. It is shocking. The distance between your inner arm and your outer arm is a pain difference of from 1 to 10. Outer arm's like a 2, inner arm's like an 8. It's wild. Human body. Who knew?
One of my friends said this a few years back. It's like, come by on Friday night, bring some friends. We're gonna have a tattoo party. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna get a tattoo, but I'll come by. Sure. So no one, she had a tattoo gun, and no one got tattoos except for her. So she said, well, why don't you guys all just tattoo me? Just, tattoo my party arm. So we all did. And I was like, tattooing her? I've never touched a tattoo gun before. And there was a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And she was very stoic. Didn't, not a, it was inner arm, like right around the elbow area. And I was like tattooing my initials or something. It was insane.
I have a friend who passed out at a friend's house and woke up with marks made with a tattoo gun all over his body. He was mad, but then he had the opportunity to cover them up with a series of hilarious tattoos. And in the end, he kind of won. But in the moment, I saw him the next day. He was furious, as you can imagine.
What was it? Just dicks and balls?
No, not even. It was just like lines. Someone just had taken a gun and just like ran it all over his passed out body. And he's just like, what the fuck? And he actually said that. He's like, if it was like a dick, I could laugh about it. But it's just like a bunch of stuff that I can't wash off. He's like, what the hell, man? It's just like we were just doing basic drugs. This was not a strange night. But I was like, how'd you sleep through that? He's like, I don't know. I did.
Yeah, we tried this new drug called beers, and
Brew dogs? Oh, it says old English.
I had 2 or 3 beers and then woke up covered with tattoos.
Can we talk about how strange politicians are and acceptably strange? All this behavior, all these behaviors, plural, are so strange to me that are coming from lawmakers. It's okay to get a bunch of sleeve tattoos. When a lawmaker does it, I'm like, oh, if you showed up with sleeves, I'd be like, what's up, JJ Reddick? That's weird. You have some splaining to do, Reddick, like what happened? A lawmaker doing that is fine socially, but alarming in terms of what their jobs are.
I mean, this is true. Also, it in some ways kind of flows back to that initial conversation we were having about AI in the future. Like, what does that future look like? Because these politicians are kind of either they're guiding us there or they're a part of it or some are resistant. But generally speaking, there is such a disconnect between some people in our government, like a Nancy Mace, and then the people like Donald Trump or Jared Kushner, who's not even elected and is part of this thing that's happening in the future.
Does he own the NBA or is it another Kushner? We'll get to that later.
But we will. But you know what I'm saying though. There are the Nancy Maces, and as you said, like these foods that just we stop eating anymore. And these kind of politicians, these little mini grifters or people, the Nancy Maces will become odd footnotes and then they'll vanish from history. In the same way, like, can you tell the story of the NBA without Amari Stoudemire? It's like you can absolutely tell the story of America's descent into hyper-capitalism without a Nancy Mace. Can you tell it without Amazon? No. Can you tell it without Jared Kushner? No. And I don't know. I'm just thinking about this idea of like, where is this leading? and who is going to benefit and who is just the vulture feasting on the bones of our society.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It is it is very impulsive. It is I'm not even sure who a person who gets a bunch of tattoos is trying to drag, because Mace's very simple statement was like, "Oh, does this trigger you? Are you triggered by my sleeves?" I'm like, "Wait, I thought blue-haired tattooed women are the enemy." I'm just I don't believe in anybody. How can I believe in someone's politics if I just can't believe anything they actually do? Is Mitch McConnell alive or dead? Do we have an
No,
answer? It's August 17th.
we don't know.
We don't know. Chubb Rock, alive or dead?
I've said this on a prior pod. I'm going to say it again. Proof of life is one of the easiest possible things to do. It's so easy.
It's not as easy as Kawhi Leonard liking aspiration post. One like and this all goes away.
But it's close.
Hit that like button. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, we're gonna have to do an elaborate setup with your wife and a newspaper dated, and maybe it's AI, and there's one photo. No. If you're alive,
Yeah.
what's up, man? What's up, man? It's me. It's Ben. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I'm right here.
Or just be like, hey, I'm texting you. It's crazy Kawhi Leonard got away with it. It's Mitch McConnell. That's all you gotta say, right? It's like, well, he had a 90% chance of being right if you wrote that 2 months ago, but still, it's relevant to our times.
I just mean you can't let someone reputable with a camera in. You can't go live. You can't post a video. You can't do any of this.
You can't go on Twitter and say Nixon 5.
Then you're not alive. I'm sorry. If you can't prove you're alive, then you're probably dead.
But he's definitely going to make nuanced policy about AI and authorship, right? And human creativity.
I mean, this is as good as he's been, arguably.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Incapacitated is better than like Mitch McConnell on that creatine.
He's at the top of his game as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I mean, I'm not sure if politics is the Fugazi, but I've heard about a different one on Canal Street.
So I was catching up on this story. The LA, let's call it a streetwear brand, but also I guess kind of a creative design
I bet
studio.
they would call it an art project. I'm sure they would call it an art project.
They opened maybe 3 years ago on Canal. I guess the genesis was in LA. And I gotta be totally honest, I wasn't sure exactly what they did. I didn't know if it was a t-shirt place or if they were throwing parties or art. I don't, or it was a cafe. I never really got what their whole deal was. But they recently were scheduled to do a collaboration with Converse, to Fugazi Converse shoes. And then the band said, wait a minute. We don't like the sound of this. That goes against everything we believe. So I believe Converse walked it back, and then Fugazi said, we're going to sell the shoes for $5. And they kind of made a little media moment out of it for themselves and their brand. They had people lining up for these $5 shoes. They were driving a truck around. Of course, they captured all this content. So it may have been a win for them more than if they'd just done it was a Vans collab, I think. Maybe it wasn't Converse. Maybe it was Converse.
Vans. It was Vans. It reminds me of Pistorius and him asking, I don't have legs, but can I participate in the Olympics with these blades? They substitute for my legs. And after some hemming and hawing, it's like, yeah, whatever. It's a free for all. As long as you don't do anything of note. If you start placing, then we have problems. But he wasn't really going to finish in the top half of his races. It was a feel-good story. And when that Fugazi shop opened up, I definitely did a double take. But it was a free-for-all of stuff. Everything was everywhere. Ideas were flowing post-COVID. Fine, open up a shop called Fugazi. It's weird to me. Do your thing. Oh, there's a coffee shop called Le Gaz right next to it. This is even more absurd, whatever. And then finally, when they announced a collab with Vans, people took notice because it's like, oh, it's generating money. It is taking airspace away from other artists. What is this Fugazi thing? And I believe the drummer, Brendan Canty, drummer of Right to Spring, Fugazi, other great bands from DC, wasn't really angry. But I think he said it's weird. It feels weird. We're anti capitalist. We don't sell merch. We sold $6 tickets, $5 tickets, all ages. Famously had a show at NYU where the entry fee was a can of food for the homeless. This was their whole thing. They the whole label Discord sold their CDs at the time for $7 or $8 when they were going for 11 to 14. They tried to not capitalize off of it. They just tried to make livings on their art. Great project, awesome. People really love and respect them. And then Fugazi comes out, this clothing line. They just picked the wrong thing. Fugazi is still too well loved. Gen X is still alive and still on Twitter. So it's fine until you do something of note and Pistorius wins a gold. And it's like, wait a second. He has fake legs. How is that possible?
I also wonder when they started the shop, and I have no insight into this, were they thinking about like the slang term, or were they thinking about the band? Were they thinking about Donnie Brasco and being like, he's Fugazi?
It's a Fugazi. Yeah, it originated in Vietnam. I was trying to string that together with Mitch McConnell, but I wasn't sure if he dodged which war. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a Mitch McConnell expert. I don't even know if he's alive or dead.
Look, A for effort. Go on.
Whatever. But yeah, so this was wondered to, debated about before the Vans collab. And the Fugazi, the clothing store website brand, has Fugazi in serif font with a registered trademark after the I. So assuming it's kind of a wink, but whatever. And then this Vans collab kind of borrows the same typeface as the Red Medicine typeface. Famously, the U on Ian's Marshall stack looks like a V. And they kind of copied the same color and line weight. And there was confusion. Like, did Fugazi come out of hiatus to do a Vans collab? Like, no. Someone's like, this is a collab with Fugazi. It's like, you're right, but you're wrong. It's like, oh, let's buy these shoes. It's the first piece of merchandise that Fugazi has ever produced. Ever. And I think, and the frustrating thing was when Fugazi, the brand, so I'm going off, but I'm going off. The brand was like, okay, we can't take this heat. Vans is canceling it. We're not doing it. We're selling everything for $5, whatever. It was kind of a marketing thing where the original shoes were still $100 and one pair was $5. So they had people lining up down the block to get a part of this current news story, but the shoes were still $100, and I think they all sold out.
I don't know about that part, only because I saw a table and it was all $5 bills on it from like one of the personal accounts.
I believe the slip-ons, the slip-ons were $5.
Oh, maybe so. I didn't know the specifics of it. I just saw that one image and it was like $5 bills everywhere. Yeah. But they definitely used it as a marketing device, which you do in their position. But yeah, they had a video of a van that said Fugazi on it, and they're like, it was going over the bridge, and they were shooting it driving up to the store, and lines of people, and it was professionally cut. It wasn't. And I get it. That's what
packaging
you do
is their art.
Sure.
On their website, they're like, this is a postmodern statement about the community and the existence of the idea of fashion in 20, whatever, all these words. I'm not even sure, but sure, it is a piece of clothing design and artwork. Yeah, why not? We do the Met. Museums collect designers' clothing. Okay, I think that's fair game. I think everything they're doing is fair game. What's fascinating is we're at the generation where people forget not only Fugazi, but like Hobo Johnson, other tiny desk debates that we've had. It was as recent as 6 years ago, but that's a long time for somebody who was 15 when Hobo Johnson came out. So these debates aren't ones that people were having. So I think a young person would say, like, there's no trademark on the word Fugazi. That's true. There is none. Feel free to use it, but know that it's a powerful word. It's a powerful brand. And it may not affect your bottom line. It may make you more money, but this is where, if you're courting controversy, this is where you will find it.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's like, not to harp on the AI comparison, but sure, this is how it works, right? A young upstart flies maybe a little too close to the sun, gets some pushback, but ultimately ends up with a win, for better or worse, by using, something that was established and revolutionary and meaningful. That's the trading of imagery, the trading of ideas. But it's still not the same as a Goliath, like vacuuming up all these ideas and then saying they're all mine. It still fits in the context of what we sort of understand, right? Youth versus age, credibility versus hype. These are all understandable.
Hey, I paid you for that rare book. I'm allowed to scan it and destroy it. I did not commit any cultural crimes here. Prove to me I'm not allowed to do that.
Whoa, whoa,
And
whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on, Andrew. I've been meaning to bring this up. Sorry to expose you. Expose him. I saw on the internet that you've been reading a book that's not The Joy of Basketball. It's called The White Book, a 2016 novel about the Los Angeles Lakers.
wow. It goes through each starting five member. The Kushner story, the Iger story, the bus saga. It's remarkable. It's not a conventional book. It's written in vignettes. It's kind of poetic. I heard the best computer made it.
One page about Mamu, New York City's own native Mamu.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know about this Fugazi thing, but it is, where was my thought before I had to think about a very
Oh, sorry.
depressing South
Yeah,
Korean book about
my bad on that.
the color white. Amazing book. I recommend it to anyone. I just open it up at a random page, sort of like The Joy of Basketball, and then enjoy the poetry and cry to it like I do The Joy of Basketball. But it is like this techno feudalist thing with the Fugazi situation where you catch and kill an idea. It's like there's roots, there's this book, there's this plant. If I don't pick the tomatoes off these vines and just yank the whole thing out of the soil, I get to have these tomatoes and there's no trace of it anymore. And I think that is a very 2026 thing. And I've vacillated between my acceptance of Warhol as our Lord and Savior and just another vague idea of fame. And I'm back to the idea that he was so profoundly visionary that he was almost cruel.
I also think with this concept, especially with the books and the way that the posts that people have made on Reddit over the years and years and years and years are just now the grist for AI responses on Google. Hey, what's a good restaurant you should check out in Elmhurst? And it's just pulling directly from a random comment that maybe got a certain amount of likes. I couldn't even tell you on Reddit. And it's this concept that the full pool of human knowledge, all these little debates that we were talking about, like, is Warhol a hack or was he a genius? And all these ideas and this discourse and all these things can just be privatized. All of the human knowledge, we're just going to buy those books and we'll destroy them. All of your comments, we're just going to own it all. And then the idea that maybe that won't be the future. I guess that's the inevitability of everything becoming amazingly horrible seems to be the one that we've accepted, or certainly the way that society is gravitating in many ways. But like, can we not do that?
Yeah, I don't
Can we,
believe in
can we-
shitification. I don't believe in shitification. I think many things are getting better. Um, but to your point, I was talking to somebody who writes for my favorite website that recommends things. They try stuff out, they recommend them, and I am very keen on this thing. I go every day to check out what they're talking about, and they made an obvious but shocking point, which was we do all this work, we believe in our testing, we believe in our writing, and we believe in our expertise, and then as soon as AI gets it, it doesn't even get to our website. So we can't even sell ads.
yeah.
It keeps you in the search engine. It's like, this is the best soup pot you can buy. And I'm like, oh, right. They have just sourced this from people testing it. And it just stays in the environment of
Yes,
the engine.
this is what I mean. Can't we stop this? Like, who's to say that's legal? Sorry, if you are online, Google has the right to just scrape your content and then regurgitate it into AI so you never get any hits off of the stuff. And yet their information is verbatim from your own. That's just cool. I can't make a Fugazi pair of skate kicks.
It's confusing. It's exactly what Fugazi's trying to do. It's like, hey, we put that little registered mark after the I, wink, wink. Google Gemini. Hey, you know what Google is. Of course, we didn't come up with it, but we're like the highway of the internet. Um, and I don't think it's correctable. And sadly, I do think things like primary source thoughts, documents are going to be extinct at some point. The idea of them. I think human beings will adjust. I don't believe things are getting worse. Not all things. I believe some things are getting a lot better. Basketball, for example, getting so much better. Everything around basketball, fucking bullshit.
well, well,
Fucking bullshit. The
well,
game itself,
well,
gorgeous.
well. I think to just draw the most mind-numbingly obvious comparison between what's happening in basketball is what's happening in the United States and AI. It's just we have never had this kind of untethered wealth where they are more powerful than governments. They are completely unregulated. They are international. They're Panama papering. They're everywhere. And that's what we're seeing in the NBA. Just the level of wealth that outstrips any kind of concerns you might have as a fan or a player or part of this historical, I don't know, tower that they have now taken over. And it's like, we can do whatever we want. And you're seeing that in the United States with our government. You're seeing it with tech companies. We can do whatever we want. You can't stop us from doing anything.
Man, I watched one battle after another. I think for the third time a few weeks ago. First time I saw it, I was like, this is pretty good. Whatever. Second time, I was like, yo, this is pretty great. Third time, fucking masterpiece. Just like so into the idea of the Christmas Adventures Club, where Sean Penn sits down, this villain, and he's like, what do you guys do? I want in, but what do you do? I know you're racist. I know you're white collar criminals, but what is at the heart of this organization? I don't know. We're just better than everybody. And he's like, I'm game. Sign me up. And it feels like that's what has been happening in politics, to be honest, our whole lives. And I sort of would try to put my head in the sand and say, I still want to live a meaningful life without getting bogged down by the evil doings of men. And then it comes for basketball. And I'm like, of course it does. There's so much money. There's so much money here.
I fully agree, right? Because there is this stoicism that I think you often exhibit, which is, what the hell am I going to do about this? I'm just a 6'6" guy with a smoldering bowl of mapo tofu. Like,
Or
why get upset? What can I do?
or my emotions as a Rites of Spring fan, ironically, my emotions are not going to help. What do I do best? I root for the Knicks. I check in on my neighbors. I'm a father. I try, but I am not a politician or an influencer or somebody who wants to get into an argument. That's not where my skill set is. So stoicism is not being calm. Stoicism is knowing what you can do and then doing that the best you can.
I think that's fair. I agree with that. I just mean, there is the retreat, right? And it's not saying I'm content to lose. It's saying I can't win this one. So I'm going to go and get a house upstate and start growing crops and get a large arsenal of weapons and have a self-sustaining little commune up here. I mean, this is how many people have dealt with the idea of government overreach in the United States for many, many, many years. I mean, that's just like kind of what you do, right? You say, I'm opting out of society, I'm arming myself, and I'm going to grow crops.
And I'm going to vote once or twice every couple years.
And I mean,
15 times if you're me. I didn't say it.
But I mean, I'm saying that's the story of America, right? I mean, getting rid of all of the annihilation of indigenous populations, but like people embarking with weapons to go and take land. Right. That's kind of like what's always been like the solution. Our national anthem. That's what I mean. Like, I'm so sick of the French government.
It's bombs in the air always.
I don't know, guns, land, some seeds. We're gonna learn how to grow corn or something.
I had a long conversation a few weeks ago with our mutual friend who might be the last reporter alive. I don't know. He seems like he is. But it was about this. It was like, I'm not a nihilist. I believe in something. I don't have a skill set in general, life. The skill sets that you are offered in life push you in different directions. Of course, you vote all the time and you keep up with politics. But at some point, we have to do something. Has to mean something. We have to do something. Stop buying something. That's cool. Make your life's work trying to expose corruption. That's even better. But what are you good at? It's like, well, I don't want to have a car if I can help it. It's like, okay, that's a start. It's not a huge deal. You know, I don't want my dog shitting all over the sidewalk. I'm like, that's not bad. You know, like, no one likes shit on the sidewalk. I'm certainly not a hypothetical dog owner that's like, yeah, I don't care about this dog shit. You pick it up. I am certainly not that way. And it is, there's a large spectrum of caring and what to do when you see something unjust, right? And when we see in just 1 week the Lakers being flipped in some white collar tax evasion nonsense, and then we see Ballmer stating that he did not commit any crime. The company that he runs has done a private investigation and they found no wrongdoing, which is not a legal entity. They hired a quote unquote law firm, but he is the one paying them. The NBA pays them, if I'm correct.
National Crime Syndicate has a statement to release. Innocent.
Yeah.
Case closed.
I mean, where do we start? Let's start with Kawhi. Kawhi, nothing was going to happen to him. By the time the All-Star game rolled around in Intuit Arena, we kind of knew the writing was on the wall. Ballmer is the most wealthy of all the owners of the NBA, and they all kowtow to him. Silver is an employee of his. Everything happens with his knowledge. And the fact that they were negotiating a settlement of this issue was a tell that this was not an investigation. this was a PR packaging exercise.
So one thing that I'm not totally sure about is this ESPN story that came out. And then you had the NBA refuting the ESPN story. And then you also have Pablo's reporting.
And he posted about the ESPN story today. The language was very vague, to say the least.
I believe it said factual inconsistencies or some that kind of linguistic.
ESPN, owned by Disney, which Bob Iger used to run, who is now the owner of the Lakers, probably the most valuable franchise in the NBA, maybe the Knicks.
Wait, are you saying there could be some backdoor chicanery going on here?
Never. What is the difference between $10 billion and $12 billion? 10, 12, 1, 2, whatever. Who doesn't have a $2 extra billion lying around? Billion with a B. That is unusual to be evaluated around a year ago at 10 billion through a purchase and then have it increase by 20%. That's crazy.
Well, LeBron left, so they're clearly worth
more valuable.
More valuable. There was a discussion I saw people have about the way that sports contracts or sports teams are able to use sports contracts as an asset that is diminishing in value, which is outrageous. It's crazy.
It's always been outrageous.
It's just it's a scam. And this is why you now see all the billionaires flooding into the NBA, and the cost of owning a team is so prohibitive because it's just a way to print money. So you can buy a team and say that it is an asset that is losing value because your players are aging.
Yeah. And there's examples like Ishbia, who had money, bought the Suns, took a gamble on a business, I believe a stock price that never bounced back, and now is in dire straits. And I think he would claim that he has no liquid money. The Portland Trailblazers, James Dolan has always claimed this. It's actually losing money. I need taxpayer money to help me with this. I don't make money. I put up the money and then it runs even, which is not true, because basically what they're saying is, I don't want to sell my toy. If I sell my toy, I'll get billions of dollars, but I don't want to sell it. So help me keep it.
But we also know none of this is true. The idea that sports teams were prestige entities, that it was not about making money, it was about the fun, the excitement, the
community, the C-bomb,
the aura of owning a team, that you could be the owner of an NBA team, that you'd walk into the arena and this is your team. And I think that idea held pretty true up until like the Mark Cuban era. We still sort of believed that, right? Because he was, of course, a tech billionaire who got his way in through PayPal Mafia. I mean, that literally, that's what they call that crew. I'm not calling them organized criminals.
And his broadcast company, which was, he got out at the right time, that's for sure.
Yes. But he was an owner, but it looked like he was so excited to be there. He was part of the team. He was shooting around. He was getting in arguments. He was getting texts. And you're like, that's like what an NBA owner is supposed to be. And then we kind of hit the era of the venture capitalists and the hedge funders. And I don't even know how you describe, everything becomes a vulture, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there was a time, you were there, you were front seat, Grantland, a revolutionary way to think about an old, stodgy, jock, boneheaded culture.
Hold on. Free Darko. Shout out to Nathaniel.
I'm going to do them all, right? Like,
sorry.
Nate Silver, Nerds, Draft Express, Mike Schmitz, all these smart people, Malcolm Gladwell. There was a revolution in culture where it was like, we're going to make right or wrong, we're going to try to make everyone smarter at least. That probably backfired on them because as that kind of culture war was engaged, it was lost by nerds who are not fighters, who cannot defeat the 80s meat eaters, the jocks. The jocks always win. And with LeBron James coming after empowerment, power, player representation, licensing, he had all these things in mind in the shadow of Michael Jordan, being like, I'm going to do even more. I'm going to advocate for my fellow teammates all over in every sport. I'm going to introduce the idea that we can do it ourselves, DIY. And then the guys, the Christmas Adventures Club, were like, we're just going to buy it all back from you and you won't even know what hit you. It's going to hit you so hard. You think you're making progress. We just set you back 3 generations.
Right. Yeah, we thought it was jocks versus nerds.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No. It was jocks versus nerds versus the Christmas Adventurers.
Dude, Donald Trump owns the Lakers. Oh, but Kushner doesn't vote for Republican. How do you think he got the connections to get that group together? Donald Trump owns the Lakers.
It's crazy, dude.
It is crazy, dude.
The
like I thought Jerry Buss was annoying.
The sire of the Kushner family was convicted of crimes. He hired a prostitute to blackmail his own brother. Netanyahu, a war criminal, slept in Jared Kushner's bedroom. Not suggesting anything improper there other than the whole improperness of it all. But that's the new owner of the Lakers.
It's as if they're playing it is that they're playing a different game. If you're the White House and you say, oh, these sports teams don't want to come to me when they win a championship, that's fine. But instead of engaging in a cultural debate, they're like, we're just going to buy you. So we're going to own you. Is that cool? So you may want to fall in line at that point. It's not like, and it never was, what have I done to elicit this response in somebody?
It's funny, I saw someone complaining yet again about like the wokeness of the NBA or the wokeness of the WNBA. It's like, hold on, you know who owns these teams, right?
I know. Look who's courtside. Look, Nick.
But the WNBA teams are owned by the same people.
Yeah.
They're owned, I think every single franchise, or maybe close, are owned by a NBA team. That's how they organize this.
Yes. And one kind of supports the other before they can become self-sustainable. They're all profitable businesses. I don't believe for a second that WNBA can't turn a profit, but it is like, what do we do? You know, we're talking about stoicism. It's like, I stopped going to the garden. Is that enough? Do I have to stop? I stopped watching the NFL. It's like, whatever. It was easy for me because I didn't care about the NFL. I care so much about the NBA. Do I have to stop watching the NBA?
I don't know. It's tough.
It sure is, man.
I'm with you, right? That the game is incredible. The players are great. And I don't find it a coincidence.
OG? Yeah.
I don't find it a coincidence that we are seeing these kind of vomitous moves that are so unpopular amongst the rank and file fans that no one in the media likes. Like, who the fuck likes this? Kushner buying the Lakers? No one likes this.
I was rooting for Bob Iger. That went Bob Iger day one.
But no one was rooting for this. No one likes this. No one is pleased about it. Everyone is viscerally ill, but they do it right after the Knicks win a title. This is incredible. Everyone loves basketball. Everyone is so fired up. They're in the streets wearing their orange and their blue. Basketball has unified this city. Like now is the time to give Trump's extended family an NBA team. Now is the time.
Well, they're profitable now. It is.
They've always been profitable, but now, holy shit!
It's nuclear, right? The Knicks winning the chip set this a new standard on and off the court. It was such a resounding cultural success, and of course, the person who sold Kushner the Lakers is being investigated by Trump's SEC.
Unrelated.
It's great. If this was a one battle after another, the NBA edition, I'd be like, this is too implausible. You got to throw some surrealist stuff in here. It's like no one's gonna believe this.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was shocked.
It's
Rest in peace to our Lakers fans, man. This sucks for Lakers Nation.
it's
Unless
just
you're into
so
Kushner politics.
it's just so brazen. It's just so brazen. It's not camouflaged. It's not concealed, and that's what's this whole pod we're talking about is that it's no going behind your back anymore.
No.
Everyone's just doing this right in your face. They're destroying books right in your face. They're stealing your material and churning it into slop right in your face. They're scooping up all the cash in a big bag and looking you in the eyes while they're doing it. Like, sorry, Quo Man.
Yeah, it feels crazy. And I think subconsciously that's why the Knicks victory was so powerful. Because people really love that team. And to see a result like that was like, we still got something left. Like you guys are taking everything of ours, but you can't take this. This is I'll never forget this.
They
And
tried. They
yeah,
tried. Look at game 3. They tried their damnedest.
trap game, presidential trap game. You know, every game 3 is the same, man. But even Kat's wedding, even the merch at the wedding, I'm just as somebody who is no longer 21 should feel. I'm like, I don't understand this anymore. This language doesn't make sense. Out of the woods and into the towns? You mean she changed her name or her family's bad? I'm not quite understanding this. And like married in 1 out of 5 years. Were they dating 5 years? Very confusing stuff. But things don't have to make sense. They don't. We don't respect ourselves. We let this happen. Karl-Anthony Towns, by all appearances, is awesome. He's like somebody who seems like the best on and off the court. And it's just like, I'm just gonna do the slot merch at my wedding. I'm like, why not? Let's go. Make it look like a Nancy Mace tattoo. Who cares?
The thing is, man, I'm not even a pessimist. I'm not. I'm optimistic.
No, things
And
are
I'm
getting
not
better.
saying
The Knicks won the
I'm
damn
not,
championship.
I'm not saying it's hard to remain optimistic with all these things. I'm just saying our enemies are very powerful. You know.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Holy smokes. But they've always been powerful. Like I always see the question online, like from people who don't have children, like, why would you have children? It's like, because you believe in the future of this country and you believe you can change it. And the way you raise your kids, these will be the next voters, citizens, activists in their time. So yeah, there's hope there. And I do have that hope. I think the Knicks might be able to be good again next year. You know, like it is a great time to be alive. And I remember the ire for George Bush, both Bushes. I remember the ire for Clinton. The environment, the doomsday clock was always going to strike midnight as long as I can remember. So this is kind of where most of the Zoomers ended with stoicism are thinking, but I think it's plausible to say if we just are tourists of history and look back and see what happens, these things tend to be constants. It's just that the people in place now seem so rich that I am not really comprehending how there will be an equal and opposite reaction.
For sure. And that's the whole point of this, right?
Mm.
Like the whole point of all of this, the point of the hyper rich, the billionaires taking over the whole government. Like we can go back and look at like the Medicis, whatever, you can make the pharaohs, you can come back and make historical comparisons to royalty, to gods among men who owned everything.
Steve Mills. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Steve Miller Band.
Herb Williams. Yeah, I got you.
But to your point, when you sort of look at the immediate future and you're like, well, we have a sort of a hydra that is the media, that is our economic system, our technological system, our surveillance state, and our government, which is also kind of a global government and wreaking havoc worldwide with weapons. Okay, what do we do first? Like,
No, they're coming for everything. It is not lost on me that another run of the X-Men is going to happen, and the casting got revealed, and this is going to go on for 100 years. But the private equity has hit. I always joke that the Knicks were the gentrifiers of the NBA. Love them, but they're the private equity version of a team. They looked at each piece and optimized each piece. It was masterfully crafted beyond my emotional ass roster constructive brain. Because I want Ron Artest there. I want Lamar Odom there. I
they
want
gave you
Dylan Brooks.
they gave you their fan service. They got
Alvarado.
You got Alvarado.
Sure. And he did wonders in the finals. But, going after Brunson, his teammates, and Cat, like that is unlike Apollo Global's approach to building their 2017 team, which is also private equity. But
I think they've got to put a couple of $1 billion into the Yankees.
Crazy. So I know baseball is the third rail, the cookie's third rail, but the Dodgerification of culture is real. And that's just another term for private equitization of culture. That is why people are so mad at the Odyssey. It's like, this is not an optimal cast. Like, well, that's not the point of art. It's like, well, why doesn't this person look like what I think it should look like? I mean, like a traditionally attractive white person? I don't know. That's just not art. But they're all over the movie. Just look for them, It started with my kid could construct this 2005 Knicks team to private equity just making it like, yeah, this is the most obvious solution.
I mean, I think we've talked about this, but we're seeing more discussion about the youth sports problem in America, where if you want your kid to play in high school, you start becoming terrified that they're getting left behind when they are 9 years old, 10 years old, 11 years old. And it's yet another way for you to splurge money into like another system that just exists, that did not exist in the past. When I was a kid, I played travel baseball for a bunch of years. It might have cost a little bit more. It was not expensive. I wasn't going to baseball camps. We'd do tryouts. We'd make the team. We'd go and we'd drive out to these areas that were outside of Rochester, and we'd get annihilated. We'd get mercy ruled like 20-5, and we'd get back in our cars and we'd go back home. But now I was talking with someone who was telling me about their kid who's not going to play college basketball. And if he does, it would be like D3 or a walk-on, whatever, not in a serious way. And when I say serious, I mean with the eye of playing professionally down the road or whatever. And he's like, yeah, it's costing $4,000 to go for 4 days in the middle of a week. We got to travel and take planes or drive down. And this is everywhere. Every kid growing up playing basketball, their parents fear that if they don't send them to camps, then there'll be this void, this ever widening chasm between them and the kids, the losers who are over there at the playground shooting around, who are never going to make it on this level.
People don't want to think about math for a bigger reason than just nerds are annoying. Because the probability of a child getting a professional contract in sports is so slim. This all feels like a farce, right? And you have a generation of people betting on markets like Kalshi and Polymarket, trying to create wealth through poor odds because I mean, I don't want to hate on this, but like the idea of having a sustainable career is kind of like not realistic anymore. There was a time when someone could write for a publication and do that for 40 years and have a retirement party. My friend, to your point, I have two friends in the art world, one of which has a daughter who like would place number one all throughout gymnastics competitions, and another friend who had a son who would place top three in almost every chess tournament he entered. And they'd be off to Buffalo, they'd off be Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., to the point where these smart parents were like, are you learning the valuable lesson? Because we're going to have to pull the plug on this. Because the end of this will be as hard as anything, but it's just not sustainable financially, emotionally, anything. Like, we are not going to enter this system because the system doesn't really bear fruit. And there's all this, maybe I personally consume all this content about like what kind of happiness is achievable, what does happiness mean, all this stuff, all these people who write books and all these old philosophers, etc., whatever. The dichotomy is crazy, right? And it is confusing to try to locate where the value of emotional intelligence is going to lie in 10 years, because I think it is the objective of people who have money and power to devalue that skill, which is probably the most valuable skill society has.
Well said. Let's shift here away from our ominous view of the future.
I mean, Trump owns the Lakers. Trump owns the Lakers.
Anyway. Fortunately, you know who we never owned? Russell Westbrook, Laker legend.
Wow.
LA native Russell Westbrook, who announced his retirement. What an amazing player.
What divisive, an amazing player.
Yeah. Exciting, charismatic, weird, aggressive,
hateable,
phenomenal. Emotional. Just phenomenal across the board.
Emotional, hardcore. Yes. Love him.
The amount of conversations that he started, ball hogging, rude to the press, lovable in the locker room, crip walking, him versus KD, him not being able to shoot, but him winning the MVP. Perfect basketball player.
We have been doing this pod for so long that when he was on his way to winning his first MVP by averaging a triple-double, we had long debates with Jordo about what the reaction would be. Everyone wanted him to win this MVP, and the backlash to that would be unfair. It was destined to be unfair, because then they would say, well, this MVP can't even shoot. He can't even win a championship. He's not very careful with the ball. He's a fraud. I'm like, don't build him up just to tear him down. Don't congratulate him for poaching rebounds from his bigs to get to the MVP and then doing it when he has already gotten the MVP. Like, we just have to stay consistent here. And as a media and fan base, I believe we were not consistent with him, but he gets the last laugh because he just keeps on playing the way he plays.
Yeah, I thought I wouldn't put it under the mantle of contrarianism, but I felt like we were always offering pushback on the flip flop with Westbrook when everyone said he's averaging a triple double. That's amazing. He's MVP. And he did have incredible heroics. He had game winners. He was so awesome that year. But we were like, you know, the rebounding is kind of a system thing. You know, he's turning the ball over a lot. He's not that efficient scoring. He's really good.
Yeah.
You know, he is a stat machine who is helping his team win games. No doubt, but that's what he is. And then the point you made before, all of a sudden everyone turns on him. It's like he's a ball hog, he's a chuck. He can't shoot. Like, this is always who he's been. He's always been a flawed but awesome player.
Yes. And that when he was averaging the triple double, it had seemed like the conversations around statistics and metrics were crazy. It just didn't make sense. Up was down, left was right. It's like metrics don't describe anything. It's like, well, if you're going to reward rebounds, that's a metric. It's like, well, that's different. It's not advanced. And I'm like, well, what's advanced? What is stat hogging? What is winning? If Michael Jordan's the GOAT because he's 6 for 6, then the triple double shouldn't give him the most valuable player in the MVP discussion. It should be the most valuable player, right? Is it a statistical award or not? Because if we're sticking to the statistics, we can deliciously revisit so many historical decisions that we've made and into the future. So I think. Oh, did you see something good?
No, I'm listening to you, but I'm just looking at his stats are so crazy from the year one MVP.
So like
31.6 per game.
Yeah.
Points. 10.7 rebounds, 10.4 assists, 5.4 turnovers, 24 field goal attempts. Just a glutton.
What happened in the playoffs? What was his fate?
Who did they lose to? They did make the playoffs, I believe, right? Because that wasn't that a big deal about it.
Yeah, but they got dispatched, I think, without much fanfare.
They lost the Rockets 4-1.
James Harden Rockets?
2017, yes.
Yo, it's amazing. I don't want to read a book about Westbrook, but there's a book there, and the book is complicated. Obviously, instant Hall of Famer. He should be remembered as an individual, an artist, but also a product of his generation.
Everything with him, man. The interest in fashion, the beefs with other players, whether that was with Durant or Embiid, just everything you want from a player. His backstory, growing up in, let's just say, a gang adjacent neighborhood, a neighborhood with gang affiliation. But I mean, he crip walked on the court. Yeah. He walked down the court crip walking. I mean,
his room isn't full of Supreme Red, that's for sure.
Russ is sick, man. Just such a cool player.
And what we said at the time, post MVP, kind of maybe checked out, which was the way he's going to age as an NBA superstar will infuriate people because so much of what he does is predicated on tenacity, drive, and speed. Things that we allegedly celebrate, but don't really actually. Someone who's a demon on the court, it's like, ooh, he's got that Mamba mentality. And when they get older, it's like, he's selfish. Why can't he keep his cool? And it's just a free-for-all for takes with Westbrook. And when I think of him, I think of a kind of media victim who just didn't care, who just kept on playing and would play for whichever team would have him. I bet you if he played in 2026, 27, he would not be bad. But I don't think a team want. There was rumors that he was going to play in Israel, right?
I saw that post, but I don't know if that's true.
Mm,
Because when he retired, he didn't reference that he was going to do that.
right, right. Um, Obviously, he gets into the Hall of Fame instantly, correct?
Yeah, to me, definitely. I mean, he didn't win a title in college or the NBA, but just that amount of
Triple double, averaging a
but
triple double is
it's
enough,
hard to
right?
keep an MVP. It's hard to keep an MVP out. You kind of it kind of gets you in the door. If not, it might have been very debatable. But I mean, also he was like a 9-time All Star. Like that just gets you in.
I
He's
mean,
too good. He's too good. Like 9-time All Star and MVP, you're in.
yeah, yeah. I don't think there's a debate there, but do you
No,
think Stat should have gone?
I like Stat. I am an Amari Stoudemire day one. He was such a fun player on the 7 seconds or less. Phoenix Suns, Nash's best partner in the pick and roll until the next best partner in the pick and roll. But Amari was really special. I saw a video of him recently saying, "No one wants to dunk on other people anymore." I'm like, that's because you were better than
Right,
everybody,
right,
man.
right, right.
Everyone who's ever played basketball wants to dunk on people like you did. They just can't because
And the rim protection has changed. The schemes have changed.
but you're also just one of the best in-game dunkers ever.
Yeah. Phoenix Stat was special. By the time he hurt his back and signed that contract with the Knicks, his decline was predictable and visceral. As a Knick, he had, I believe, finished top 5 in MVP voting, top 3 one year. Was around for Linsanity. Jeremy Lin was in the crowd at his Hall of Fame induction, which was cool. Mike D'Antoni went in the same year. Damn, Mike D'Antoni. Uh, I think the best coach of all time. Certainly one of my favorite coaches of all time. But I know he didn't win it all. But man, his teams were bright and intelligent and thrilling. Um, Shout out to the Triangle. Shout out to Eric Spolstra. But I think D'Antoni's there. But anyway, Stat. If you're going to put in these random white guys from 1940, and if you're going to put in like assistant coaches who have lasted 4 decades, I think all players should go in if they're kind of within the vicinity of qualifying. So Stat should definitely be in. Is Stat an all-time great? No, not at all. To your point, can you tell the NBA story? Can you tell the Phoenix Suns story without Stat? Probably. Maybe.
You sadly you kind of can, even if it's not fair. And I think Stat was incredible. And his first season on the Knicks was like almost magical. He was
Yeah, I
he
was like,
was
yo.
so he was so fun and so good. But I think, yeah, if you were going to tell that Sun story, it's D'Antoni, it's Nash, and then maybe it's Sean Marion.
Yeah,
If you were going to do it, right? Like that was the stretch four who couldn't really shoot, and then you had Nash, who would
Boris Diaw running
basically
point sometimes. Was that the team?
he was there. Yeah, he was on some of those teams. But Nash and D'Antoni, that hive mind between a point guard and a system, and then how we saw Harden use that, or Steve Blake, or Jordan Farmer, or
Didn't Quentin
whoever.
Richardson lead the league in threes during D'Antoni?
Raja Bell did, I believe, but Quentin
Really?
Richardson might have too. Raja
Awesome
Bell,
coach.
Raja Bell, secretly like maybe the real 3-and-D god. It wasn't Bruce
That
Bowen.
was good.
It was
Yeah, no,
Raja Bell, because Raja Bell
it was
was chucking. But all that to say, Amari was great. I mean, if you were going to exclude him from the team, from the All-Star, from the Hall of Fame, sorry, there are only so many guys with his criteria that have been omitted. Players who have been a 6-time All-Star and not made the Hall. It's kind of a thumb in the eye, like, fuck off, dude. Like, you have to be a dick to not make it with 6 All-Stars.
Yeah, I agree. And this is where the voting is confusing because I think Jaylen Brown gets into the Hall of Fame regardless because he has so many accolades. Um, Obviously, Tatum gets into the Hall of Fame. They have championships too. It gets muddy. And someone was a Knicks Twitter account posed an interesting question in poor wording. And I think it was, I'm paraphrasing, if you're a real Knicks head, you know the difference between Amari Stoudemire and Julius Randle. And I was like, maybe I'm not a real Knicks head because that's a tough one. That that's complex to me. And the assumption was there was one clearly better player. I'm like, I'm not sure. They're not on the level of the four Hall of Famers that are going to go in on the current team, the Villanova three and Cat, in my opinion. But I'm not sure because Randall and Amari both had accolades in a dark period in Knicks history. And they were both really good, but both had limitations. They both were tenacious at times, but Randall got his emotions in the way, and Amari Stoudemire, however much he wanted to affect plays, would often stand in places where he wasn't affecting the plays.
So just for the record, there's only one player, Larry Faust, whoever he is. Don't know much about him.
Himself.
He was on the Fort Wayne Pistons, Minneapolis Lakers, and St. Louis Hawks.
Calling you from your house right now.
1950 to 1962. We're losing Larry Faust's recipes. Larry Faust. He made 8 All-Star games, not in the Hall. They just couldn't have his devilish presence haunting those halls, I guess. But after that, 6 was a couple guys, Jermaine O'Neal, Sean Kemp from the modern era. There's not many guys with Amari's credentials that aren't in the Hall. So I think probably Sean Kemp maybe will get in now. Maybe someone that, does LaMarcus Aldridge like next year get in because Amari is in? Like, do they make him wait a little while and then say, fine, you're like a 7-time All-Star. Come on in, LaMarcus.
A gazillion years ago, I read the Big Book of Basketball, and the premise that Simmons introduced was the Hall of Fame, the NBA Hall of Fame was structured incorrectly, and it should be a tier-based system. And as one player goes in, another player goes out. And at the time, I was like, this is cool. I'm into it. And now that there's like 2 Fugazis and they're scanning and destroying every book, I'm like, I don't know. What Hall of Fame is this restrictive? There's not a single Hall of Fame in life that is this tight. We just think of Pete Rose and Alex Rodriguez not getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame, but a lot of weirdos do, man. I mean, there is an unwritten rule. This is great. I think Michael Kay proposed that Alex Rodriguez, whose eligibility runs out this year, I believe, or next year, should sign a one-day contract with the Yankees, take one at bat, and reboot his eligibility because he thinks the culture will change in a few years where people will admit that excluding these all-time great players is a disservice to the entire culture just because they cheated. Very Ballmer-esque. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has rappers in it. The NBA Hall of Fame has people I've never heard of in it. Yo, everyone go in. Just go in. It's a Hall of Fame. Who cares?
I have no issue with Amari going in, but I also see the argument for him not. I think it's fair to say
there has to be standards, right? It has to be special.
He was a really good player, but I think he won. I could be wrong. I think he won 1 Olympic medal. I think it's only 1. Did not play in college, so didn't even have a college career. Or if he did, it was junior college. I forget exactly what it was. He had basically no college experience at all.
Never won MVP. Never won Defensive Player of the Year, obviously. 6th Man of the Year, never.
Never went to the finals.
Never went to the finals. Yo, is Tyson Chandler a Hall of Famer? Defensive Player of the Year, champion? He is, right? Is this an offensive biased qualification? Because if Stats in, Chandler's in.
I think they're on the same tier as player for sure.
I think Chandler's better than Stat, but he doesn't score.
Well, he's not better than pre-injury Stat, but pre-injury Stat
No,
wasn't around
no,
that long.
Chandler being the smartest player on the court has to mean something.
I
He
know,
was
but
like the smartest
they
player
never gave
in
him.
many games.
I know, but he's only got the DPOI. I think he's like a one-time or zero-time All-Star or something like that.
No, but he has gold medals. Look him up. I saw
Tyson got some gold medals. Also, he did not go to college either.
I know.
It's
I know. That's
funny.
why I brought him up.
It's funny some of those guys from
Villanova.
Tyson Chandler, one-time All-Star the year after his DPOI in New York.
That's not enough. But he did win a chip as a pivotal member of that team.
Yeah, but you're not getting there with one All-Star. It's just not happening.
So is 6 All-Stars more than being a principal member of a championship team?
Yes.
This is the Westbrook thing. It's like I believe in sustained excellence. Shout out to Lou Williams, who I think should be in the Hall of Fame. But like Chandler got to the highest levels, man. He was there. He held up the trophy. He was Defensive Player of the Year. If you can't leave out MVPs, he also has a championship with his.
I mean, dude, I am a Tyson Chandler fan. I would say, yeah, that guy. You can't put this guy in the Hall of Fame. It's sad. He's just it's a bummer because I think he was really freaking good.
Yeah.
Is Derrick Rose eligible yet? Is he in?
That's a good question.
Because that guy, he won an MVP, but he's only a 3-time All-Star, and we know.
How far did Memphis go? Did Memphis make the NCAA finals?
I can't remember. He only played 1 year though, right?
Yeah. I mean, Brandon Roy. Does Brandon Roy get in?
He's not, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But I would think about putting him in. If he's culturally impactful, like Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, and Alex Rodriguez, get him in there because the qualifications are way too hazy. Or rule with an iron fist.
I mean, I think that's. I guess you have to keep him out.
Brandon Roy,
like Anthony Hardaway, not of the Hall of Fame, has 4 All-Stars early in his career. Did not make the Hall. That is the best comparison, sadly, with our guy Ben Simmons, like Derrick Rose, Anthony Hardaway. I mean, for real, 3 All-Stars, elite, body ravaging knee injuries, spinal injuries.
They should do sort of like Woke 2, NBA 2. They should do NBA Hall of Fame 2 because the criteria is way too loose. If it's about basketball culture, being a coach, winning in college, contributing to the game, then D Rose and Penny should be in.
Well, this is what I mean, right? It's like, did people like you?
Which is the story of life.
Were you seen as cool?
It's the Christmas Time Adventurers Club.
LaMarcus Aldridge. All right, what gives? I don't know, LMA.
Like, does DeMar DeRozan get in? The most lovable dude.
You can't let him in, but
he's getting in, man. I mean, is he that different than Stat? Isn't he a top 10 all-time scorer?
No, this is why. Yes, I'm sure. I mean, he's got 6 All-Stars.
There you go. He's in. DDR is in.
It's preposterous that he's in the Hall of Fame.
It's weird, but what Hall of Fame is elite?
But here's the thing, right? Is that we know how tainted these All-Star votes are.
Yes.
We know they're not legit. And the fact that Tyson Chandler, who did have some injury issues for sure, has 1 All-Star and DeMar DeRozan has 6. And if someone's like, who are you drafting, DeMar or Tyson Chandler? I would guess that like 90% of NBA GMs are taking Tyson Chandler.
Yeah. I would think so.
I would take
Uh,
Tyson Chandler over DeMar any day.
Easily. I mean, I would
And
take
DeMar's
Chandler
a
over
solid
Stat.
player. DeMar's
No,
good, but like,
Lamar deserves to get in based on this criteria. It is. I mean, the Hall of Fame. Every Hall of Fame is a marketing thing. Every top 100 list, it's for marketing. So you want to represent the league in a way that people want to think it has a history, a footprint in American history. And the more people you put in with a story, the better it is. You have to walk the line by putting as many people in as you can without revealing that you don't know what the hell you're doing.
well, this is the deviousness of the BMM because scoring changes by era, rebounding assists, they change by era, BPM, all these kind of advanced metrics. They're trying to make them relative to era, but that's still fringe nerd shit. When you say, well, Jaylen Brown, 3-time All NBA, I guess he's in the Hall, and you're like, Jaylen Brown is going to the Hall of Fame, won a title. He's, he
He's
was
the Hall of Famer.
MVP. He was MVP candidate. He's a candidate in 2027. Like, all right, I guess he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. Because with the offensive inflation, it's very hard to compare Jaylen Brown's averages of scoring 30 a game, 28 a game, 27 a game. It's not the same as like in 2004 or even 2010 when Julius Randle was like 8th in the league in scoring with like 21 a game or something. It's just not, it's literally not the same. There's 60 players who average, maybe 65, who average 20 points per 36 minutes.
It's crazy that he might be inducted into the Hall of Fame on the same stage as SGA. It's just bonkers. It's like one of these.
At least he's cool.
I mean, I did I tell you this story IRL? But I was at the beach and I was ordering an ice water at a bar at Rippers. Shout out to Rippers.
Wait. I didn't know I was talking to the king of the beach.
Yo, when you get kids, you explore the city, man. I hate the beach. But I was getting an ice water at Rippers, right? After ordering way too many French fries. And someone at the corner of the bar, Rippers is like a local spot for sure. Friends of Max Fish, that crew. So ordering an ice water, and someone on the corner of the bar was like, fuck the Sixers, man. Yeah, I'm talking to you. And I was like, I'm not Dietrich, man. We could just fast forward. We don't have to do all the stuff in between. I am not Dietrich. The interns designed that shirt. I had nothing to do with it. They're in their cage eating less gruel. It's like, my hands are clean, man. I think they're going to be a weird team this year, and they're going to be mocked like you've never seen before. And it was just like, I think the Sixers are going to suck. And I'm like, no, I'm there with you. I think the Knicks are going to beat them 4 times this year. They swept them. I know. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. It's crazy because I could say something like, I believe I'm going to retire from painting and be a police officer. And someone will see you at the bar and be like, fuck the cops. What are you talking about, man?
Andrews, you're talking about Officer Quo?
It's just like,
oh, you don't even understand. Me and him are dealing. We're now dealing with this Departed type situation. We can't even ride in elevators together.
I know. It's like ACAB, god damn it. There's 2 people on this pod.
The collective voice. You're like, I'm celebrating the championship in my new Champs hat available now in the Cookie
Oh, that's
store.
right.
Or maybe as on Tuesday. On Tuesday, it's available. Patreon heads already know.
That's right.
Just a key attribute of being a Patreon subscriber, of course, is
you can't even get N beer for $5 anymore, but you can get early access to our merch for $5.
And what early access it is.
Maybe the intern should put stuff that only exists on the Patreon for Patreon subs.
You never know.
You never know, but you know what you do know.
What you do know is it's the end of a perfect pod.
Obviously.
Cookies.
I love cookies. I love cookies.